So I woke up on this Saturday morning to find that somebody quite high profile says that Bitcoin is going to double. Yes, overnight. And guess what? That might not sound particularly unusual in this space, but it wasn't the moon. It wasn't Crypto. It definitely wasn't BitBoy this time. This time, it was this chap. Now, who is this chap? This is a gentleman called Rustin Benham, okay? He is the chairman of the CFTC, and he came out saying that Bitcoin could double overnight almost if the CFTC took regulation control of the crypto market. We're going to break that down. We're going to look into what does this mean? What is he talking about? And we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin prices here on a Saturday as well. Always focused on giving you guys the updates as and when it matters, even on the weekend. Smash the likes. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to trade any of these moves, then you can do so on BitGet or BYBIT. Links in the description to your two great trading platforms. Now, let's take a look to see what he said. So the article started when he said that Bitcoin could double in price under the CFTC. And I want to get into this. But before we get into this, I do want to stress that the regulatory environment is very, very complicated, right? You've got the SEC on the one side, you've got CFTC on the other side, and the US is a mess right now. Both of these governing bodies are fighting for control, for jurisdiction over the crypto space, and it's getting pretty ugly. Now, if we take a step back, when Gary Gensler became the chairman, okay, which is this gentleman over here, Gary Gensler, right? This is your Gary Gensler. Let's show you, pop him on screen. There you go. Gary Gensler, when he came as chairman of the SEC, everybody was really happy, right? They felt really comfortable because it's like, look, Gary Gensler loves Bitcoin. Look, you've even got him holding it there. Fantastic. Good bit of Photoshop there. And he's going to be great for crypto, right? He taught a blockchain course at MIT and he's going to do great things for crypto. But that hasn't come to fruition, right? That's not exactly what happened. We know that Gary Gensler has since gone on to really start turning the screw. Continued the case against XRP, calling Ethereum security after the ETH merger, continuing to put pressure on exchanges such as Coinbase, cancelling their lend program, and he's been an all-round nuisance, right? Not to mention Tornado Cash, the whole situation around Tornado Cash, which is a currency mixer, which is used for many legitimate purposes as well as some illegal purposes, but going as far as sanctioning wallets and addresses on a decentralized smart contract. It's insane. And he's certainly kind of holding the noose around the neck of innovation of the crypto space in America. But is this gentleman any better? Is this Rustin chap, the chairman of this CFTC, going to be any better? Well, we're going to take a look at what he said and then also try to kind of zoom out and say, what is the bigger picture here? So let me just share him. Let's just share this back up on screen. And can Rustin do any better? So this is what he said. Growth might occur if we have a well-regulated space, Benham told attendees during a fireside chat. Bitcoin might double in price if there's a CFTC regulated market. And this is what's crazy, guys. How can you have the chairman of a commission, right, in the US coming out and giving a price prediction? Can you imagine if Gary Gensler did that? It's just not normal. You just don't do that. But again, it goes to show how desperate they are to get us, the crypto space, the community, backing Benham, because we're the ones who put Gary Gensler on a pedestal. That's the reality. The crypto space went crazy for Gary Gensler. They thought he was going to be great. He was going to be, this sage and really help everything push forward. And that wasn't the case. And that's my warning here. Let's not get too carried away with what he says, okay, here. Now, he then goes on to say, these incumbent institutions in the crypto space see a massive opportunity for institutional inflows that will only occur if there's a regulatory structure around these markets. So basically saying it's going to double. If we have some regulation in place, institutions are going to come in, they're going to pump the price of crypto. Non-bank crypto institutions thrive on regulation. They thrive on regulatory certainty. They thrive on a level playing field, Benham added. And they may say otherwise. They might bicker about the type of regulation. But what they love most is regulation because they are the smartest, the fastest, and the most well-resourced. With those attributes, they can beat everyone else in the market. Okay, let's digest this for a second. So what he's saying is, look, you need some regulation. And you guys know, if you've been watching my content for a while, I'm pro-regulation. But the problem we have is the precedent we have set from people like Gary Gensler so far is that they are not regulating in the way in which we know it could be useful for crypto. Let me explain. So we know that if you take cars, for instance, right? Cars, the use of cars, when you move from horses and carts to cars, it never thrived. There was never mass adoption until there was some regulation, until the structure of roads were laid out, until there was speeding rules, until there was traffic lights, until there was all these things bringing safety about, seatbelts and the progression to airbags. Adoption never picked up at each of those stages. So you need regulation. But what you don't want is overreaching. And unfortunately, what we've seen from Gary Gensler has been, as far as I'm concerned, overreaching. The whole thing with Tornado Cash is huge. And this is what's worrying well-meaning people in crypto that initially would be pro-regulation, that would be quite level-headed like we are here in this community. But when you go and show that you're just going to overreach, then people just become very fearful of regulation. They're going to push back against any little bit of regulation because they know they give you a finger, you take a hand. They give you the hand, you're going to take the whole arm. And that's not what we want in this crypto space. So this is kind of the mess that the US regulatory bodies are creating for themselves, in that when they were given the space to put some regulation in, they've gone after the wrong things. They've been super aggressive. They've been almost anti-innovation instead of putting the right regulation and structures in place such that what Rostin is saying here, such that non-crypto institutions can thrive, right? We've heard this from Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. He just wants to know what is right or wrong. He spends months and months and months trying to build this new lend product, right? Coinbase were going to launch this new lend product, which would allow you to get APY when you stake some coins, right? But no, they said you can't do that. They banned that. They banned him from doing that feature. Now, all he's saying is just tell me what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. And if a company like Coinbase can't even be on the right side of the SEC, what chance do we have with DAOs? What chance do we have with decentralized projects? We have no chance whatsoever, because a company like Coinbase, publicly listed on the US markets, they want to be super institutional friendly. They want shareholders to hold Coinbase. They want to be around for the long term, and they want to do everything right by the US regulators. Right? Even they are complaining that it's not clear what we can do and what we cannot do. And they've got teams of people trying to navigate this. So it's a huge mess right now. Now, as we progress down, things get a little bit more interesting. And this is what kind of raised my eyebrow here. We are currently appropriated money by Congress. And it has put us in a position where we feel like we're constantly on edge about how much money we will be appropriated. We are still feeling the wounds and scars from about 5 or 6 years of flat funding. And this is where it gets interesting, because what you have to understand is if you, as a CFTC or SEC, you get jurisdiction of a big asset class like crypto, which you know is rapidly growing and is just at the early peaks of its growth, you can then request more funding from the Congress, right? You can go to Congress and say, I want more funding. If you want me to jurisdize over all of this crypto space, you're going to need to give me more assets. You're going to need to give me more tools. You're going to need to give me more resources. So is this just a play? Are they just fighting over crypto because it's the money bag? It's the money bag that they can go to Congress and keep asking for more and more funds and say, look, this is really complicated to regulate. We're going to need more funds. We're going to need more resources. Is this just a big ploy? And is this the reason we're getting bickering? And this is the reality of things. There's misaligned objectives right now. You've got the SEC fighting for regulation, for jurisdiction over crypto. You've got the CFTC, and we cannot come to agreement. And that is not great for the crypto space. It's a difficult enough space to regulate appropriately, let alone with this in-house fighting going on in the US. But a word of warning before many crypto people start jumping on the bandwagon and saying, this is our new hero, right? This is the guy that's going to pump Bitcoin for us. Because we know what the crypto space is like. We love to put people on a pedestal. We love to put Gary Gensler on a pedestal at one point. We love to put Do Kwon on a pedestal. We love to put all of these people on a pedestal. Suzu over 3 Hours Capital. But what do we need to remember? These people are all the same. And I want to remind you guys of this. Just a couple of days, the CFTC served UkiDAO papers by posting them in an online discussion forum. Yes? So what they did was UkiDAO is a platform that allows off-chain tokenized margin trading and lending services. Okay, now the CFTC wanted to serve them with papers, and they did so by submitting them through a help chat box on the DAO's website. Can you believe this? They do not know what they are doing. They just want to go out, start serving papers, and this is crazy. So this is the first one to be brought against a member of the DAO by the CFTC. So you've already got the CFTC hunting around as well, okay? It's not just Gary Gensler. So before you start falling for the headline where he's so smart about saying, oh, look, Bitcoin's going to double in price under us, like you should support us and tell everybody that the CFTC should have Bitcoin, not the SEC. They're all just as bad as each other. So the reality is, what do we need? We need one regulator, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. but we need to keep them to task to make sure that they do not overreach. They can put regulation in place where it's appropriate, but do not do anything more or less, right? We're going to park this conversation now, because another thing I need to share with you is something that a lot of people are not talking about right now, and I need to take the moment. And it may not be fun, it may not be YouTube friendly, but this is something we've got to talk about, okay? And that's called the wage price spiral. So I spoke about yesterday how the US core inflation started to rise, right? It started to peak back up again, and we monitored that yesterday. It came in at 4.9% core versus 4.7%, and that's something we monitored here together. Now, what we then want to look at is, what is the issue here? Well, the issue that starts to arise, which Jerome Powell's going to have to start worrying about, is a wage price spiral. Now, what this is, what made me remember this and why this is an issue is this. The US weekly jobless claims hit a 5-month low. Okay? In other words, people are not getting laid off. And Jerome Powell is now, from talking about inflation a lot and bringing CPI down, he now seems to be looking at the US job market, the labor market, as his canary in the coal mine. He's looking at the labor market to really soften. I think he's going after it. He really wants to see these non-farm payrolls and these jobless claims really start to take a hit. He wants to soften the labor market. And this is why. I'm going to explain exactly why, guys. So what happens is you get a wage price spiral. So you start off with inflation. Now, in this case, we know we got inflation for a bunch of different reasons, primarily around printing, right, and the reaction to the virus that we had. Now, what then happens is, obviously, you get higher prices of consumer goods. So you and I go out, you both try to fill petrol, your mortgage rates, your phone contract, any other technology you're buying, food, drinks, entertainment, it's all going up. Now, what happens when that goes up? Well, suddenly you struggle to make ends meet. And when you struggle to make ends meet, you need to demand a higher wage. You can do one of two things. You can demand that higher wage from your employer, or you can go work somewhere else where somebody pays you a little bit more. Either way, you want higher wages. That leads to higher costs for the employers, okay? Because if they're increasing everybody's labor costs and labor is becoming more expensive, which is what we've been seeing, wages have been going up, that means cost to businesses go up. Now, two things can happen here. Now, either the business can say, you know what, we're just going to show a loss. We're going to show less profit, and therefore we head to an earnings recession, right? Companies start producing negative earnings. And by the way, Q3 is just wrapped up now. We finished September. Dow Jones finished down 9%. S&P finished down 9.3%. Okay, and the NASDAQ finished down 10.5%. Horrific September. And in 15 days' time, we're going to start getting the earnings from Q3. And if they start showing negatively, markets are going to be spooked. Markets are going to be spooked because they're going to be worried about this wage price spiral and also an earnings recession. And this is going to be the issue right now. So they've got two options. They can either show lack of earnings, the companies, or they can pass the prices on back to consumers, right? They can say, oh, look, labor's gone up, therefore the cost of your iPhone is going to go up. The cost of your iPad is going to go up. The cost of your car is going to go up. Guess what that is? That's just further inflation. And you end up in this vicious spiral called the wage price spiral. So hopefully that makes sense to you. This is the narrative we need to focus on. I know most crypto channels will not tell you about this. I know they won't spend 4 or 5 minutes explaining this, but please do take a minute to understand this. This is the narrative we need to be looking at going forward. Okay, so we know what's going on here in the markets. You can see Bitcoin sitting here at 19,300, down 0.5%. There's very little point me going into altcoins right now, right? You can see Solana down 0.7%, Phantom flat on the day, holding up better than Bitcoin at 22 cents. Really important support level for Phantom. You've got Atom down 1.4%. But as you can see, we're still in the middle of this channel, right? This 19,300 level, Bitcoin needs to show some strength and get above this peak here at the top. It needs to get above this level here at 20,000 in order to show some strength, because at the moment, it's got this peak and then it's got a lower high, right? And this is therefore it's still downtrending. So a lot of work here for Bitcoin to do. You've also got this same downward trend coming on over here. And we just need to see, how do markets now react going into October? It's been a horrible September. A lot of value wiped off. But one thing for us to remember is, in this moment, it's not just about crypto. And this is what gives me such peace in these moments. This is a fall. This is a retracement. This is a drop from all-time highs. This is a crypto winter that is correlated and linked to the wider market. You've got huge companies retracing down right now. Does it suddenly mean Apple is a bad company? Does it suddenly mean Microsoft is a bad company? No, right? This is a crypto winter. It's a global slowdown. Yes, there's going to be a difficult period of time. But when I see difficulty, I see opportunity. I see opportunity to pick up some of those great companies at cheap prices. And that's how I see crypto as well. When I look at Bitcoin, you get the opportunity, and even longer opportunity, to accumulate at prices we never thought we'd see back in November of 2021. Just in November, 69,000 on Bitcoin. We never thought we were going to have this much time around 19,000 to be accumulating more. So really important that you build your conviction, you figure out how are you going to dollar cost average, what's your cadence going to be, how often are you going to buy in, what are your favorite coins, are you happy with the structure of your portfolio? And if you want to build those skills around technical analysis, now is a great time to do that. Link is in description to my Skillshare course. Completely free, guys. Completely free Skillshare course. Links in description. Go watch that. I'm not selling it. It's there for you guys to consume it. Learn what all these different patterns are. Learn how to draw channels, support, resistance, head and shoulders. All these things you hear us talking about, make sure you know what it is. So when we go to the next bull market, you're armed with all of that knowledge, ready to navigate it. And if you want to take that a little bit further and you want to join our course member live streams, you are more than welcome to join those as well. Ijaz.uk/member. It's a close, intimate group of people here on our member live streams. We do 3 times weekly member live streams where we go through tokenomics, we go through fundamentals together. I explain what I'm doing in the market, how I'm thinking about these things. I mean, this wage price spiral, which you're only just learning about, we've already spoken about it with our course member live streams. We speak about inflation, we speak about regulation, and they hear first what's on my mind at any given time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to go watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.